Squatting in the building, I'm squatting on some millions. This niggas watching my moves, I got them in their shit. Flew birds through the coop, but I still got the set.
4 New York rappers just united to take shots at 50 Cent on Christmas Day 2025, dropping a coordinated diss track called Squatters' Rights Freestyle over Curtis Jackson's own classic beats. Jim Jones, Maino, Dave East, and Fabolous recorded the whole thing together. And Fabolous delivered bars so inflammatory that the internet completely lost it. What makes this whole situation hit different is the history behind it. The tension between 50 Cent and Jim Jones specifically stretches back almost 2 decades to the old Dipset versus G-Unit wars of the mid-2000s. These 4 podcast hosts deciding to gang up on a common enemy brought receipts, punchlines, and some genuinely shocking accusations about 50's personal life. Breaking down exactly how we got here, what each rapper actually said, and why 50's response has everyone waiting for what comes next is going to take some time.
Look, I'm a top shotter who drop dollars and pop collars. If you ain't talking about top dollar, do not holler. Niggas can't move us, but nah, we not squatters.
December 2025 is when everything kicked off, right after Jim Jones appeared on the Let's Rap About It podcast. That's the show Jim hosts alongside Maino, Dave East, and Fabolous, which they launched back in September 2025 and grew to around 63,000 YouTube subscribers within about 2 months. During one episode, the topic of 50 Cent's Netflix documentary came up, and Jim Jones was not feeling it at all. The documentary, titled Sean Combs' The Reckoning, covers the Diddy situation, and Jim straight up called it a mockumentary before adding his exact words. You don't want nobody doing a documentary trying to make your whole character look weak. That's petty behavior. Anyone who knows 50 Cent could predict what happened next. He jumped on Instagram and went completely off, posting, "I understand Diddy was your hero, stay down with him, I don't care if you let him play with your butt, then act like you don't remember." And that was just the warm-up.
For some people like 50 Cent, this Christmas might not be so great. Y'all really thought Jim Jones, Fabolous, Maino, and Dave East would sit back and watch 50 Cent call them squatters? Are you out of your mind? These guys are rappers. Yeah, you might see them do a podcast here and there, but don't get it twisted.
50 Cent started calling Jim Jones, Maino, and the rest of the podcast crew squatters and bums. But here's where things escalated hard. He leaked audio claiming to be from Jim Jones's landlord, with allegations that Jim owed somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000 in back rent for the podcast studio space. 50 Cent even threatened to buy the entire building where they film, writing, "I didn't have this on my list of things to do, but if you insist, I'll make time." Picture the situation. 50 Cent publicly calling these rappers broke, accusing them of not paying rent, and threatening to become their actual landlord. That's a whole lot of smoke to throw at 4 grown men who happen to own microphones and recording equipment. Christmas Day 2025 brought the response nobody expected. The Squatters' Rights Freestyle dropped on YouTube, and the 4 rappers made a deliberate choice to attack 50 using his own catalog of instrumentals. Maino went first over the Back Down beat that Dr. Dre originally produced, opening with, "These internet dudes throwing shots picked the right time. I got time today. A hustler gonna find a way. I don't back down. It's not inside my DNA."
Now, if you guys want to go listen to the full song, please go follow me on Instagram. It's posted on my page. I cannot play here, obviously, because of copyright. However, we are going to break down some of the bars. Maino went first on the freestyle song, and he used 50 Cent's beat from the record Back Down.
Jim Jones followed over "I'll Whip Ya Head Boy," the Eminem-produced track directly addressing the rent accusations by spitting, "Ain't squatting in the building, I'm squatting on some millions. These dudes watching my moves, I got 'em in they feelings." Dave East took the "At Baltimore Love Thing" instrumental that Needles produced, and his verse stood out for being notably less aggressive than everyone else's. Media outlets described his contribution as bridging generational gaps rather than delivering direct attacks. What everyone was waiting for was Fabolous, who rapped over "Window Shopper" and "Rider Part 2, and this is where things got genuinely spicy. Fabolous came with what many people are calling the hardest bars of the entire track, going directly at 50 Cent's ex-girlfriend Daphne Joy and referencing allegations about her involvement with Diddy that emerged during the legal troubles. His exact words were, "You know I got power, your shorty got hot showered, catch her trying to leave like Tasha shot Lala."
My dog told me give him the word and shots follow. I'll let him off the leash like Nino's Rockwaller. You know I got power, your shorty got hot shower.
That hot showered line references some very specific allegations that aren't appropriate to fully explain on this channel, but if you know what he's talking about, you know. Fabolous also threw shots at 50's physique and character, rapping that he got brolic but not solid. Because Fab is known for his wordplay, he even joked about renaming the podcast to Let's Squat About It as a direct response to 50's accusations. Reaction online was immediate, with people claiming Fab ate 50 alive on this track. Whether you agree with that take or not, those bars were easily the most quotable and controversial of the entire freestyle. Rewinding to explain why 50 Cent and Jim Jones specifically have so much history is necessary here, because this beef didn't start in 2025. Almost 20 years of tension exists between these two. Everything traces back to the Dipset versus G-Unit era of the mid-2000s, and if you followed hip-hop during that time, you remember how intense that rivalry got.
This time around on the record, he had a lot to say. Not only did he take shots at 50 Cent, but he also took shots at academics as well. The main bar that has everybody going crazy right now from Fabolous, he said, "You know I got power. Your shorty got hot showers."
I let him off the leash like Nino's Rockwaller. You know I got power, your shorty got hot shower.
February 2007 marked the first major flashpoint when 50 Cent appeared on Hot 97's Angie Martinez show and called Coke Records, which was Jim Jones's label at the time, a graveyard for artists. A heated on-air exchange followed because Cameron happened to be sitting in the Coke CEO's office at that exact moment. Diss tracks started flying back and forth, with Cameron releasing Curtis to mock 50's government name, while 50 responded with funeral music. Here's where the complications really begin. During peak Dipset 50 Cent tensions in 2007, Jim Jones and Juelz Santana did something many viewed as a major betrayal by appearing on stage with 50 Cent at a New York City concert. December 2024 brought 50 Cent's admission that this was calculated manipulation on his part. He told Cameron's podcast, "When Ballin' took place, I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That was the Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that. I just took the shot." So 50 Cent basically admitted to using Jim Jones's desire for that spotlight to create division within Dipset. The Tekashi 6ix9ine RICO trial in 2019 and 2020 heated things up again when 6ix9ine testified that Jim Jones was a member of the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods, with prosecutors playing recorded phone calls as evidence. 50 Cent seized on that testimony and publicly accused Jim Jones of being an informant, which is about as serious an accusation as you can make in hip-hop. Jim Jones has vehemently denied these claims, calling 50 a hoe and accusing him of rooting for rats. Late 2024 brought the most recent escalation before this podcast drama when 50 appeared on Cameron's Talk with Flea podcast discussing that 2007 manipulation.
These old heads and OGs still got bars. Now, these guys could have easily gotten on their podcast and responded back to 50 Cent, but instead, they said no. Let's handle this the good old-fashioned way. Let's get in the booth and rap. Each person took turns rapping on a 50 Cent beat.
Jim Jones responded on Justin LeBoy's Respectfully podcast with "Them Dudes Be on My D." February 2025 saw Jim Jones tell The Breakfast Club, "Nah, I won't do nothing with that sucker. You heard? Leave him out the conversation." Nearly 2 decades of history connects these two, and the documentary criticism wasn't really about the documentary at all. That comment was just the latest spark in a very old fire. Maino occupies a particularly interesting position in all of this because he actually has reason to be grateful to 50 Cent. What a lot of people don't realize is that 50 Cent helped Maino secure his Atlantic Records deal back in the late 2000s, which means there's history of 50 actually looking out for Maino professionally. April 2020 brought the first friction between them when Maino liked one of Jim Jones's Instagram posts defending himself against 50's snitching accusations. 50 called him out publicly with, "I learned something new every day. See, I looked out for this guy when he needed help. I made a call to get him his deal, but people forget." Maino quickly clarified it was a misunderstanding, and they maintained cordial relations until December 2025's podcast situation. Once 50 started calling them squatters, Maino dropped all diplomacy. He fired back on Instagram with an edited image of 50 sporting curly hair and wrote, "Meet Killer Curly, ladies and gentlemen. He helped me get my record deal before, so I'ma always be grateful. So it's gone hurt me to drag this dude to hell."
Jim went with the beat from I Whip Your Hair Boy by 50 Cent. Next up was Dave East. He used the beat from the record Baltimore Love Thin. And finally, to close out the goddamn freestyle song, Fabolous used the beat from Rider Part 2.
What is the problem, Curtis? What has your G-Unit G-string in a bunch, dudes? Is it the B or the diabetes? Despite that aggressive response, Maino has taken a surprisingly pragmatic view of the whole situation. His exact words to TMZ were, Beefing with 50 is good business. Numbers is up, podcast is up, engagement is up. I wish I would have known this a long time ago. He even expressed openness to 50's offer to buy 50% of the podcast if it was genuine, which shows Maino playing this smart. He acknowledges 50 helped him in the past. He's willing to go at him now, but he's also not closing doors completely. Fabolous and Dave East carry much less dramatic history with 50 compared to the others. Light beef history is the best way to describe what exists between Fabolous and 50 Cent. Both emerged in the early 2000s New York scene without being directly competitive, and 50 has trolled Fabolous over past Diddy-related content before, but no deep-seated rivalry connects them. Dave East has basically no significant individual beef history with 50 Cent whatsoever. His involvement stems entirely from being part of the podcast collective. Heavy influence from the Diplomats shapes his style, which our artist 50 has feuded with for years, and his deal with Nas's Mass Appeal Records puts him in a certain camp.
Now, everybody went crazy, everybody showcased their different styles of rapping, but I'm not gonna sit here and cap to you guys. Fab went crazy. Fab actually destroyed this entire freestyle. The man that's been quiet all along on their podcast.
His verse in the freestyle being the least confrontational makes complete sense given the lack of personal history. Quick background on each of these artists helps paint the full picture of who we're dealing with. July 15, 1976 marks Jim Jones' birth date. Real name, Joseph Guillermo Jones II. The Harlem-based rapper co-founded the Diplomats, also known as Dipset, and his biggest hit, We Fly High, climbed to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 back in 2006. Maino, real name Jermaine John Coleman, was born August 30, 1973 in Brooklyn. 10 years in prison shaped him, and he started rapping while incarcerated before eventually dropping his platinum single, All the Above, featuring T-Pain in 2009. June 3, 1988 brought Dave East into the world. Real name David Lawrence Brewster Jr. East Harlem raised him, Nas's Mass Appeal Records signed him, and basketball nearly became his career. He played OAU with Kevin Durant before rap took over. Fabolous, real name John David Jackson, arrived November 18, 1977 in Brooklyn. Def Jam signed him, and his lyrical prowess produced hits like Into You, Make Me Better, and Throw It in the Bag. 50 Cent's response to the Christmas Day freestyle came on December 27, 2025, when he posted a cryptic warning using a Great Gatsby meme. His caption read, "Let's toast to success, health, and prosperity. I'm planning my new year. When I'm done, I'll come out to play. You know everyone who plays with me wishes they didn't in the end." He also claimed Jim Jones wired $200,000 in back rent after all the public pressure, posting, "So Jim wired the $200K over. Okay, cool. He may turn out to be a good tenant after all. Samuel, if you need me to make them pay, just give me a ring, I'm here." Whether that payment actually happened remains unverified, but 50 is clearly claiming victory on the rent situation.
They mad cause we fly and niggas cannot swat us. Get it to their head from bottom to top's Prada. Them window shoppers ain't really gon' cop nada.
Industry reactions have added another layer to this whole situation. Whack 100 publicly called for G-Unit to respond as a collective unit, telling Adam 22, the G-Unit gotta respond, 50, yayo, murder. That would be good for hip-hop, great for New York. That would wake up New York. What gets really wild is Cameron's position in all this. The man who was once 50 Cent's biggest enemy as Jim Jones' Dipset partner has surprisingly aligned with 50 to troll Jim Jones together. They've shared text exchanges about Jones's music sales and collaborated on social media jabs. Miami 2025 saw the two perform together after publicly squashing their beef back in 2016. Jim Jones now fights a two-front war, simultaneously beefing with both 50 Cent and his former Dipset partner Cameron, who has allied with their mutual enemy. That irony is not lost on anyone paying attention. Media outlets have suggested a full-blown rap war feels unlikely in the podcast era, and observers note 50's pattern of responding through Instagram posts rather than actual diss tracks. Early January 2026 finds this beef very much active and escalating. 50 Cent has promised more is coming in the new year, while the podcast continues gaining subscribers and calls for a G-Unit response persist. Several key questions remain unanswered. Will 50 Cent respond with actual music or continue the Instagram warfare? Rent allegations vary wildly depending on the source, anywhere from $80,000 to $250,000. So what's the real number? Will other G-Unit members like Tony Yayo or Lloyd Banks join the fight? What we're watching is almost 20 years of New York hip-hop tension coming to a head. Old Dipset versus G-Unit rivalry that defined mid-2000s rap, questions of loyalty and betrayal, and the modern podcast era's ability to amplify conflicts all collide here. The Squatters' Rights Freestyle represents something rare, a coordinated attack against 50 Cent by 4 established New York artists. Faboulous' bars about Daphne Joy delivered the most provocative moment easily. 50's measured response, promising future retaliation rather than dropping music immediately, suggests he's playing the long game. History has taught us that 50 Cent doesn't forget and he doesn't lose. But he's also never had to deal with 4 rappers coming at him as a united front, all with podcasts and platforms to keep the pressure on. This is far from over. Let me know in the comments who you think won this round. Did Fabolous really eat 50 alive like people are saying? And do you think 50 should respond with an actual diss track, or is the Instagram trolling enough? Make sure you subscribe if you want to stay updated on this situation, because I guarantee there's going to be more drama coming in 2026. See you in the next one.